What's going on, DigiDustin? It is your boy TruePain Game, back again with another Digimon video today. Today we are doing our BT9 tier list. I'm using Taste of Victory's tier list that he used. I just changed the tiers around a little. So I'll have the link in the description down below to the tier list and his YouTube channel and the video for his tier list. But I wanted to give you guys my thoughts and opinions on what the format's going to look like going into the BT9 Digimon TCG format. So we're going to start with Lilithmon. Now, Lilithmon doesn't really get anything new that I know of off the top of my head. I do know without Eosmon though, this deck has been suffering quite a bit. And there's not a whole lot it can do to keep up with the current format. So for that, I'm gonna put it in like I'm gonna put it in 3 for now, but like it's possibly 2, depending on how the rest of the tier list turns out, because like in the right hands, Lilith Loop can always just go crazy. You know what I mean? Like in the right hands, Loop can be really, really powerful. But without the Eosmon to play itself from the trash, then I don't know how well it truly is. So yeah. Commandramon. Same thing as Loop. Like it could be tier 2 argued for. I feel like Commandramon's definitely better than Loop. I don't know if it's tier 2, but like it's the strategy is like a recursive Rookie Rush. It's like a recursive rookie rush that just keeps getting better and better. Yo, JC Chill, welcome to the chat. So tier 3, unless someone can change my mind or I change my mind later. Ancient Gray, I'm kind of a stand for this deck. I think Ancient Gray is like really good, and any deck that just blows your opponent out of the water that quickly is probably... So BT9 is a very OTK oriented format, and that being said, any deck that can OTK pretty easily is probably 1.5 or 1. Anything that's not is probably tier 2, but this deck is like the godfather of OTKs in the Digimon TCG, but it sort of lacks the resources and the consistency that some of the new decks have. So for that reason, I'm going to put it in tier 1.5 for BT9. Lord Nightmon, I believe this is probably Lord Knight Sakuya. I think that's like the best one. And it's probably like tier 2. It's a combo deck. It's really cool because Digimon doesn't actually have a lot of like heavy combo decks. But Lord Knight Sakuya is exactly that. It's a very heavy combo oriented deck to just make your board go from 1 Digimon to like 5 really quickly and have a lot of pressure on the follow up. But like in this format, it doesn't matter if you put out 5 Digimon because you're just gonna die on the following turn on the crackback. So it doesn't matter. Jesmon. So this is pre-starter decks. For that reason, Jesmon's going into Copium tier. Jesmon's so good with the star decks, and I really was hoping the star decks for Ragna and Jess would come out with this, and it didn't. So that's kind of fucked up. For that reason, Jesmon gets to go into Copium. Agumon, the bonds kind of always go together on tier lists. They're usually within a tier of each other. So like in usually blue bond gets rated higher than red bond, but in this specific format, one that's all about dealing as much damage as possible, probably like tier 1.5 or I'm gonna put both in tier 2 for now. I think red could have an argument for 1.5, but I don't know how the rest of the tier is gonna go out yet. Lord Nightmon might not be as bad because it can play Sakuya like it did in BT6 against Babu Bond. Yeah, so like Clyde has a good point. Like you can play Sakuya like the old Sakuya, the one that is -3 security when raised in Lord Knight. But like the problem is Lord Knight has to then answer the body they raise before the crackback. So like I don't know. Again, I'm gonna like do another final look at it after I like do the initial placements. Cause like I could personally, I think Lord Knight Sakuya is like a really good combo deck for what it does. And I could easily see it going up to 1.5. Same with like the bonds. Honestly, the bonds maybe could go up here, but I don't know yet. I want to see how the rest of the list looks, and then I'll like reevaluate it. But yeah, Lord Knight can play the Sakuya that is -3 security checks when something's raised, and that's really good to counter these OTK decks. Taitamon is... I want to say it's Copium. Like, my initial thought was Copium, but low-key, is it better than these? Because it's kind of like an OTK deck. It just takes a little more setup. I don't think it's up here. I think it's, like, probably, like, right here, maybe. Probably worse than DBG, to be honest, but probably, like, right here. I don't know enough about, like, pure Taitamon, but I know it's, like, a pseudo-OTK deck. It's like Shotmon, where it's, like, the first turn on level 6, it's going to hit you for most of your security, and then it's going to clean you up on the crackback. But I don't know if that's good enough in the current format we're going into, because everything just kills you in the turn. It's not like you're waiting. It's like Jesmon, peak Jesmon was basically what we're going into, where peak Jesmon would literally take your entire stack and then Omni or Aguni you for game. We're basically going into something similar to that again. We're like, you don't have the extra turn to just clean up the kill. You have to just get it on the turn you swing. And I don't think Taitamon is going to be that good, but I could be wrong. Eosmon, as much as I was hyping this deck, like, when it came out, like, it's Copium. I'm not gonna lie to you. Eosmon's Copium, and then when the new Eosmon came out in set 7, I was so excited. I was like, yes, it's gonna be great. I didn't even bother making a deck profile because of how shit that deck was. Like, I made when I was doing that deck archetype series that I haven't done in a long time, I think I only did one. It was on Eosmon, and I was like explaining why it's hype as fuck. And out of every video I've ever made, I regret that one the most. Like, I don't know why I gaslighted people so much into thinking Eosmon could be good, because it's not. And unless it is, it's not. And I don't know if it ever will be. BeelStar is weird, because like BeelStar right now is like a tier 1 deck. Like BeelStar in set 8 is like really good. But with the dual tamers and a lot of decks being able to play ADP now, I don't see BeelStar being that good. Nailbone for free into lethal will always be very strong. The problem is BeelStar has to survive turn 3. So BeelStar right now, its hardest matchup is like Imperial and Ancient Grey. And it just has to hope that they do not... For Imperial, it has to hope that it hits a good option in security. And Ancient Grey, it literally folds to. It can't do anything. So that being said, in this format, I think BeelStar's worse. I would say like tier 3, but I don't think it's that bad. Like, the strategy is pretty good in its own. Maybe like above Sakuya? But then I feel like it's not as good as like the Bonds. So like maybe Sakuya and Lord Knight's down here. But I also feel like Sakuya Lord Knight like is better. This is weird. I'm just gonna leave it like that for now. MachineDramon, as much as I want MachineDramon to be good, and I really liked the purple based MachineDramon I played a little bit. I don't know where to put it. Because like it has its strong suits. Like security control and yellow, it absolutely eviscerates. But in the format we're going into, I don't know what it does. Other than having blocker, which is cute, most things are still bigger than the machine. And you can like save it. And like the Kaiser nail to play will always be really cute, but like I don't know. Probably like tier 3. Probably above CommandDramon, but like tier 3. Waymon Copium. Like, this deck doesn't exist to me. This deck's not real. I've seen some people play it. When it goes crazy, it goes crazy. It turns into a board from like 1 to like 7, and it's really cool. It does like the similar thing as Sakuya, but significantly worse. So for that reason, it's Copium. Probably better Copium than Jesmon and Eosmon though. MachineDramon. So this is blue hybrid. MachineDramon or Zulong. Blue hybrid's weird. Blue hybrid and yellow hybrid are decks that I think are so powerful and so unfair that they will always be good. It's definitely tier 1 or tier 1.5. I'm going to say tier 1.5 for now, because in this format, this deck sort of falls off a little because of the OTK strategy. But again, if they hit Tommy and security, a lot of these OTK decks end up folding if they hit Tommy on their first or second check. So it becomes a lot more luck dependent than it has been in prior formats. But a well placed Spark Insecurity or Tommy Insecurity can still decimate these tier 1 strategies. Green Hybrid, so Green Hybrid I kind of see as like Russell Lapierre Hybrid now. Like that build, like the Rapidmons and Calamons and stuff, is probably tier 1.5 still. I've talked to Russell a little bit about what he's implementing for the Set 9 format. I'm not going to leak it, but it is some fucking sauce, I'll tell you that. And I think this deck's 1.5. Again, though, this deck, I'm going to put it at the bottom of 1.5 once we get more. Only because this deck is incredibly skill intensive. Like, you cannot just pick up this deck and go win a fucking event with it. Like, it's not that easy. Whereas, like, Blue Hybrid or like Ancient Gray, I would argue anybody could pick up and learn the deck in 1 to 2 games. This deck is incredibly skill and matchup intensive, and it has a lot of niches that you have to know about. But in the pilot of the right hands, this deck can definitely be tier 1.5. Cherubimon, I think Cherubimon just like did well in an event. I want to say it was the Canada event, but it's definitely tier 2 or tier 3. So Cherubimon fell off because of... What was it that killed Cherubimon? Oh, BlackWar. BlackWar, like, kind of killed Cherubimon off, but I think it's probably still tier 2. I cannot speak. Still tier 2. I think it's, like, the bottom of tier 2, though. Because, like, it can pop off. Like, if it does the Cherubimon thing, it still goes really crazy. But if it doesn't, like, it's kind of bad. We have armor. Now, how do I feel about armor here? I will say, Magnamon is in set 9, we get Magnamon X, and that card is very, very powerful. And into an OTK format, it could be very good. Do I think it's better than BeelStar? I don't know. I haven't played the deck in set 9 enough, but I do know that its aggression is really good. So you can build up your aggression with armor really quickly and just keep poking. And these OTK decks are very piece reliant, all the ones that are existing in this format. While some are more consistent than others, they are piece reliant still. So if you can poke them enough before they get their OTK setup, then it can be very powerful. However, blockers are starting to come back with these OTK decks, these 1-cost blockers, which can kind of scare this deck a little. Now, I do think it's tier 1.5. I'd probably put it like there. And the Magnamon X and the Gold Digizoid, I believe, are the option card, are very, very good. Rapidmon, aka Yellow Hybrid. Who am I joking? Yellow Hybrid is still tier 1. This deck's going to be tier 1 for the foreseeable future. Set 10, it's still dominating their meta with Crossheart. Now, this set, it does sort of take a backseat slightly, but not by that much, I don't think. It is still very powerful. The hybrid mechanic is incredibly unfair. Even the worst hybrid decks are still pretty good. Like, look at Cherubimon. This is probably... Black Hybrid's not a real deck, so this is probably the worst one, and it's still tier 2. But 3 of the hybrid strategies are tier 1. 4 of them. Fucking Ancient, too. Arguably. So, hybrid as a mechanic is so strong. However, with the introduction of Death Xmon, they do become worse, because Death Xmon is going to become a staple in almost every deck that's going to sit in and out in between formats, and if side decks come back, Deathmon will be a 4 of in the side deck. I can promise you that right now. So, that being said, Yellow Hybrid's still tier 1, but I think it's going to be on the weaker end. Shivamon, like pure Shivamon, this deck's copium. This is so bad. Ask anybody, maybe not Tayfrey, but ask anybody else, and Shivamon's copium. Is it better copium than, like, Waymon? Yeah, it's better copium than Waymon, but it's still copium nonetheless. Pure Shivamon. Now, splashing Shivamon in Green Hybrid, is incredibly powerful. That is so powerful. But teching Shivamon and ImperialDramon as well is incredibly strong. But pure Shivamon on its own doesn't have enough to justify it on the tier list. BlackWarGreymon, to me, BlackWarGreymon is this gatekeeper deck. This deck I don't think will ever be tier 1 or tier 0. We haven't had a tier 0 format since like set 1 of Digimon anyways, but it'll never be there. But because of how hard it gatekeeps the decks in tier 2 and tier 3, I feel like it'll always be top of tier 2 or bottom of tier 1.5. Just because it has this effect that hinders so many playstyles with BlackWarGreymon as well as the black and red MetalGarurumon. The deck is very, very controlling, and if you can't deal with like losing some cards every other turn or so, you don't really have a chance. Because if you play one BlackWarGreymon player in an event, then you're just going to start to sort of lose if you're one of these lower tier decks. Now, if you dodge BlackWarGreymon and you're playing like Cherubimon has some good matchups into these. But because of that fear of BlackWarGreymon, it's sort of like RNG. So because of that, BlackWarGreymon is always like this gatekeeper deck. Like your deck has to be better than BlackWarGreymon in order to compete. WarGreymon X. So this is the deck This is probably the deck I'm going to main in set 9, and I'm very, very excited for this deck. And it is incredible. I've been playing a lot with it, and this deck is so good. It's everything WarGreymon has been trying to be for so long, where you get destruction and burning of security, as well as not checking options. It is so... it's chef's kiss. Now, it is red. And red is incredibly inconsistent. But you can make it a little more consistent. And with the introduction of the X antibody card, Digivolving for 0 is getting you a lot more draw power now. And that's going to put this deck in tier 1. Definitely, it's going to be very, very powerful in the format, as well as one of the better OTK decks. Gallantmon is tier 0 for sure. Just kidding. I love Gallantmon, and I'm really excited to play this deck. But I'm not going to lie, it's probably like tier 2. It's probably like top of tier 2. But it's sort of like BlackWarGreymon, where it's a very control-heavy deck. The only difference is now... so obviously we have Crimson Mode. And Crimson Mode's an incredible card that will just blow your opponent out of the water if the game goes long enough. Keyword, if the game goes long enough. Gallantmon is a very control-heavy deck with a lot of Digimon destruction. That's the reason it's tier 2. Because BlackWarGreymon has Tamer removal, and Gallantmon does not. Because of this, Gallantmon is technically a worse control deck than BlackWarGreymon. While Gallantmon can clear significantly more Digimon bodies than BlackWarGreymon per turn, it doesn't matter because your main win con is getting to that Crimson Mode and deleting your opponent's security. But to get there, you need to make sure your opponent has at least like 10 cards in trash to get maximum value, which is going to take longer to set up than the most OTK decks in the format. This is going to be a very quick format, guys. I'm telling you, games will end on turn 3 or 4. It will be a very quick format, and that's pretty good. So MetalGarurumon X. I tested this deck a lot when this format sort of like started to come out in JP. And I hated it. I thought this deck was so bad. But so many people are putting it in tier 1 or 1.5. But like, maybe I was playing it wrong. In my experience with this deck, it was not that good. It had like a cool combo where you could like draw 2 off of like the promo MetalGaruru, or like gain your memory back with the EX one, and then go into this guy and like do this OTK with the promo Garuru and WarGreymon. But like, it felt so much worse than the other OTK decks in the format. However, there's probably some secret sauce I don't know. Because of so many people putting it in tier 1, I'm going to be a little peer pressured. I'm going to put it at the back of tier 1, like in between 1 and 1.5. Because I genuinely think there's some sort of sauce I don't know. Because a lot of people are putting it in tier 1 in their tier list. Taste of Victory put it there. Some other people put it there. Like, I don't know what the sauce is. But it's there, and I don't know it. And for that reason, I think this deck is probably a viable threat, and we will see why sooner rather than later. Also, its effect to bounce blockers comes up in the format because a lot of the anti-meta decks are going to be revolving around blockers. Leomon, I'm going to be honest, I like vaguely know what these cards do. I know the X antibody one's like kind of quirky, but like nothing other than quirky really, but like probably like tier 3. I don't think it's that good. Grandis was one of the best decks in Japan. Now, it was one of the best decks in Japan because of how incredibly cheap it was to build. It is probably the brickiest of the OTK decks. Now, there are some things you can do to mitigate that, such as playing Searcher, or if you play the actual X antibody evolutions, like the level 4 ones, you can get some more draws that way. I do think it's tier 1. Probably like right here. But I don't think it's super crazy tier 1. I think it's like pretty moderate tier 1. AlphaMon. This is projected to be the best deck of the format. Definitely top of tier 1. This deck is incredibly consistent, it's incredibly scary, and incredibly powerful. On top of all of that, you are getting this massive stack with all of your X antibody bonuses. So not only are you going to be destroying your opponent's security, you're also going to be completely eviscerating. If they live, like, so if they play against Blue Hybrid, right, and you check Hammer Spark, like, sure, you're probably going to live. But, like, X Antibody has all of these sources that are all doing so many different oppressive things that they're getting so much advantage off of every play that they make. This deck is incredible. It is very, very strong and very consistent. I do think this is the best deck in format. I don't know what else to say. So, Gallantmon. Gallantmon's weird because it's like BlackWarGreymon. But it's the X antibody. So obviously BlackWarGreymon is like not playing this. It's more like a control based deck. But it's probably like tier 1.5. It's probably like tier 1.5, but like higher up than BlackWar because it does everything BlackWar does, but like better now, if that makes sense. Because like this BlackWar, I'm just assuming is BlackWar without Gallantmon. So with Gallantmon, it becomes significantly better because you get the bonuses that Gallantmon provides. And it's probably like here or here. But it's still tier 1.5 because of that Gatekeeper-esque style of deck. MasterMind. MasterMind gets a really crazy level 7 in this set. And this card's fucking insane. I don't even remember what it does. I just remember reading this. And this card literally reads like somebody like wrote it. Like it's like a fanfic card. Like it doesn't seem real. Like this card does so many things. I don't even remember all the effects this card does. But it like recovers and all this stuff. It's a MasterMind card. But MasterMind also gets like the MachineDramon cards and stuff, which are pretty good with it. So I'm gonna put MasterMind in like tier 1.5. Just because I think it's still a little too slow for this format that we're going into. But this card actually doesn't fucking seem real. I don't know what team wrote this card, but it does so many different things. And it just blows my mind. Diaboromon is tier 0. Just kidding. This deck's copium as fuck, and it always will be. Better than Cherubimon, though. Actually, nah. I'm not gonna be that mean. It's like tier 3, maybe. I don't know. The token generation and the blockers is like kind of good, but the blockers all have such like a low DP threshold. Pops all level 6. So the MasterMind is like it pops a level 6, pops all 5 or lower, heals for each pop. Like that's fucking crazy. It does so many cards, so many things. Like why? Well, why do you? It's really cool, but like in this format, it doesn't do that much. But back to Diaboromon, like kind of copium, but also like it's probably better than Loop and Taitamon. So like it's probably tier 3. MasterMind, but like I guess this is like pure Master, like without that, probably like tier 2. Or like right here. Right, literally right underneath it. This card just makes it so much better. And the Agumon cards and the MachineDramon stuff is really, really good. MasterMind, right now it's tier 1 for sure. I think Imperial's probably better than MetalGarurumon, but that was my experience with it. But like, I could also see it being tier 1.5 here because you do have to put bodies out on the field. But it's also like bricky. But is it better than Ancient Gray? It's either behind MetalGar or like between Ancient Gray and Gao. I think I'm gonna put it here just to be safe. Just because it doesn't really get anything new. And it just kind of does the same thing that we're all like aware of right now. So I don't know. Probably right there. And then finally we have security control. This is going to be, I think, black, red, yellow security control. Or just like generic security control. Like this is yellow hybrid right here with the Rapidmon. This is just security control, and that deck's 2-1. It is so good because it's probably like right here. Because these two decks don't care about it. These decks are all fucking terrified of it. This deck doesn't care about it. These decks are all fucking terrified of it. So security control is probably like right there. And I'm gonna do one final look at the tier list, and then I think it's probably good. So let's do a final look. I'll consolidate Twitch chat. If there's anything you guys think that looks off about this tier list, please let me know right now, and I'll like go through and like argue for or against these points, and we'll just reassign it. So AlphaMon, honestly, I don't want to put WarGreymon first, but like AlphaMon, what did chat say? AlphaMon is copium? Yeah, I don't like the stack is really crazy, but like, and the level 7's good, but I don't know. I still think AlphaMon's like really good. Cause like Oryukenmon, that's a restand. I don't. It can get a bunch of security checks. I don't know. It seems very good. Cause it's these two decks can kill. So I can't remember if Grandis can kill you the turn it does the combo, or if it has to wait a turn. I know it can take all of your security. I just can't remember if it can kill you. Assuming it can kill you, these three decks can all kill you the same turn they take all your security. This one, this deck, security control and yellow hybrid won't kill you. I genuinely don't know about MetalGarurumon. I just know a lot of people think this deck's gonna be really good. So yeah. You think BeelStar is actually that low? My impression was it was only got better this set due to the new tamers. Like okay, let's look at comparison. BeelStar does get a buff this set because it does get the new tamers that are very, very good. But so do all of these other tier 1 and 1.5 decks. And the only one that doesn't play the new tamers might be like no, I think these all play the new tamers. Maybe not the Black War stuff, and maybe not Ancient Gray. But the rest of these I'm pretty sure all play the new tamers. So yeah, so I do it gets washed because every deck in tier if you look at tier 1 and tier 1.5, most of these decks play ADP. And if they don't care about options. If you got a man boost out, Grandis kills. Okay, that's what I thought. I thought Grandis could kill on the same turn you do it, but I wasn't sure. So yeah, if you look at all of these decks in tier 1 and tier 1.5, they either don't care about hitting an option in security, or if they do, because of the new tamers, they literally all have access to ADP. And they will all be playing it. BeelStar gets the new tamers plus Death X. On top of that, all these OTK decks have fierce security cards, which cause them to tech up ADP against it, which takes really interesting. That's true, Jonathan. That is true. BeelStar, again, getting the new tamers is really good for it. Maybe 1.5. A lot of people think it's probably better than tier 2. But, like, but also, hey, see, that's the thing, right? Like, if nobody wants to play ADP, BeelStar probably goes up to, like, tier 1. If nobody wants to play ADP, BeelStar is probably, like, tier 1. It's probably, like, over here, okay? But look, this deck plays ADP. This deck plays ADP. This deck can play ADP. This deck can play ADP because the new Sora mat. This deck has built-in ADP. This can play ADP if it wants. This plays ADP. This plays ADP. This can play ADP if it wants. This can play ADP. This can play ADP. This can play ADP. All of these decks can play ADP, and they probably should. I'll put it in low tier 1. I'll put it in like tier 1.5. We'll put it next to MasterMind because these decks probably do like the same thing for the most part. But then I feel really shitty because Gallantmon just washes BeelStar. It absolutely decimates that deck. So like, then Gallantmon maybe goes to tier 1.5. But then like, should Gallantmon be in the same fucking tier as Blue Hybrid? No. Should Gallantmon be in the same tier as MachineDramon? No. So like it kind of makes the tier list a little messy. So people pivot to ADP gaming skewed options are good. Isn't that more of a matchup thing? It is more of a matchup thing. So you're right. Like if you look at matchups on here, the general idea is that tier 1 should be able to beat 1.5 for the most part. 1.5 should be able to beat 2. 2 should be able to beat 3. 3 should be able to beat Kofi. For the most part, that is like the idea. But yeah, you guys have a point. So in the beginning of the format, nobody's gonna be on ADP. WarGreymon will be on ADP. No, I think they have a built-in ADP now. So maybe they won't be. I want to say one of the new Greymons or MetalGarurumons gives ADP, unless I'm wrong. So maybe they won't be. HA Gray has a built-in. AlphaMon probably. AlphaMon and Grandis will not play it right away. I can tell you that. Those decks will not. So you're right. BeelStar will shit on those two decks. But as Security Control and Yellow Hybrid and BeelStar become more popular, those two decks will tech in the cards to play ADP. MetalGaruru, I'm positive will play ADP. Even though I didn't like the deck when I was playing it, the Sora Mat Tamer with ADP is so good. It makes the deck so much better. Also, like Hero's like the best secondary tamer for this deck. So yeah. Just speaking of fighting game experience, some characters have better matchup against high tier characters despite being low tier. True, and that is so I see what you're saying. Like BeelStar and Maste, I feel like are that. Like these decks aren't that good in a vacuum, but like into like some of these higher tier matchups, depending on the tech choices that they're playing, can absolutely decimate them. Or vice versa. It can be a wash either way, depending on what the choices and the options that these top tier decks are playing. And that being said, for the start of the format, these decks like BeelStar will probably be tier 1. But as people see, like so hypothetically speaking, let's put BeelStar into tier 1. Okay. We have 1, 2, 3 control security based decks in tier 1. We have BeelStar, Yellow Hybrid, and the security control. And then let's look at the OTK decks we have in tier 1. We have AlphaMon, WarGreymon, Grandis, and MetalGarurumon. So 4 out of the 3 tier 1 decks at the start of the format will be OTK decks. That being said, the other 3 out of those 7 are going to be control security based decks. Which means that these OTK decks, while AlphaMon and Grandis have to play Tamers in order to, so does Metal Group, but they already played the Tamers. While these two have to tech in Tamers to beat those, they will probably do that because those are going to be their worst matchups. Which means as the format progresses, it'll probably end up looking more like this. That's what the final tier list will probably look like. But before that happens, this is probably what the tier list will look like. So the start of the format, we see BeelStar having a shift here towards the top. But then I think once these decks in tier 1 start teching ADP, so are all we're gonna do that. So are all of these decks. Or they're not gonna carry in the case of Blue Hybrid. All of these decks will then play ADP, which sort of makes BeelStar useless. Not really, I would argue it's slightly better because you also can just throw in and push and OTK even more. Oh, Joust? Yeah. Gotta see your sauce. Oh, there will be sauce for sure. I have the sauce already made for Wargrey, Grandis, and Gallant. I have the sauce and armor for all those decks already ready. Debating on Purple Mimi to stop ADP. Purple Mimi is another card. So as we progress in the game, like I don't know. Because, like, Mimi will be teched in to at least security control. Potentially Yellow Hybrid. By the Purple Mimi, I'm talking about the one that... Oh, wait. Purple Mimi is the one that stops options. Yeah. Purple Mimi. So Purple Mimi will gain you a memory when your opponent uses an option, which means the ADP is going to cost 2. And usually these decks that play ADP cannot afford that memory with the exception of, like, AlphaMon because, like, they're going to gain a bunch by stuffing sources. I know for a fact WarGreymon, like if you Mimi on their ADP, they have to choose between ADPing or not because Mimi's just gonna pass turn most of the time. Grandis I don't think can deal with Mimi. Kari is also gonna be incredibly good as the format goes on. The card that when you take a damage you tap it to gain a memory. That card's gonna be very good. because it stops these OTK decks. When they try and OTK you, if you have 2 Karya, they just pass turn. Yeah, so these purple decks, they have options to Gazimon, but so do a lot of these other decks. Like this has Syakomon, Terriermon, Chumon. So like Gazimon's really good, but I feel like mem boosts. So everyone's talking about these mem boosts are gonna be like really, really like powerful. And I think actually the gaining the memory is not what a lot of people are gonna be playing them for. I think the gaining memory is gonna be like an extra effect that like if they want to play around like Hammer Spark or something, they'll care about. But genuinely, in the experience I've played, like with WarGreymon, I'm only using that red mem boost for the searching. Unless I really, really, really need to and I'm like choked or something, then I'm really just there for the consistency. Yeah, Wargre has ADP built in. That's what I thought. Yeah. So yeah, I'll move BeelStar from tier 2 up to like right here in tier 1.5 because this deck can and will go crazy in the beginning of the format. But as the format evolves, and this format's gonna be kind of long with the UK delays as well as set 10 coming out in October, this format's gonna be a few months. And I think the first few weeks, BeelStar will be very, very powerful. And then as the format progresses, it'll go down to tier 1.5 or so. That being said, guys, I do think this is the final tier list. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. And if you haven't already, don't forget to click that subscribe button and go check out my Twitch where I stream all of my videos live. And I can interact with Twitch chat while I'm making these. So I will see you all next time. Peace.